What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Justbwise, and today we're gonna talk about a couple things you can add to your Sony A7IIs for around 50 bucks. Let's do it. Now, if you're anything like me, you're always trying to find a way to improve or make your life a little bit better with your camera for as little as possible. Now, while you can get some things for cheap, cheap, that was crazy. We don't want to get cheap. We want to get value, right? Because cheap is just gonna not work later on. We want to get things that are gonna be a better value. While I did put the marker at $50, clearly some of these things are gonna be less than $50. And one of them is gonna be a kind of a range from less than to way more than $50. But we'll talk about that at that time. Jeez. The first thing I do want to talk about though is something that's not a physical item that you can hold and is already actually in your camera, kinda. And that's the time-lapse app that's available on your camera. Now, if you've shot or watched video for any amount of time, you've seen a time lapse, right? We've all seen it. And they're beautiful. And it's something that if you're trying different things out, you should probably just try one day, put your camera up somewhere, put it on the time-lapse mode and just let it ride. And then come back later and put it together and see what it looks like. So if you don't have the time-lapse app, I would advise, go ahead and get it. It's only 10 bucks, so why not, right? Next up, we're gonna talk about the battery grip. Now, y'all know I love having a battery grip on my Sony A7II. One, because obviously, the battery life on the A7II sucks, right? We already know that. I don't even need to go down a tangent. We know it sucks. But in addition to doubling your battery life, you also have the beautiful, beautiful joy of the ergonomics of it are so much better. It feels so much better in your hands if you have slightly bigger hands than average, right? So I have pretty long fingers, so when I'm using the Sony A7II without the battery grip, it does feel a little small in my hands, and especially if I'm shooting video, my hands are like overlapping on top of each other. It's super annoying for me. For some people, it may not be a bother at all. So not only does it help with the battery life, but helping with how it feels in my hands is huge. Now, in addition to that, this one's only $40. Do you know how much the Sony brand one is? $350. Why? Why? $350. Come on, Sony. Come on. So it may have a bit better of a build quality. I will admit, this one does feel a bit more plastic, but I will say after 2.5 years of having it, it can take a beating, right? And it still looks like I barely use it, and it's almost always on my camera. Yeah, it's much better build quality than you would expect for something that's like 40, 50 bucks. Now, like I just said, I did move from using my battery grip on my camera when I'm shooting my YouTube videos because it is still annoying to change out your battery when it's on the tripod if it's just going to be sitting there, right? I'm not moving it, not doing anything. So what I decided to do was go ahead and get what they call a dummy battery. So essentially what a dummy battery is a way for me to just plug my camera into a power source that's continual. What that means is I can plug it into an outlet. It has a battery that looks like, an end of a battery that looks like a battery, but it's not a battery. And you can just plug it directly into your camera just like you would any other battery. So yeah, continuous power, non-stop. Now with that continuous power, I can shoot video like this with no worries about the battery running out on me. If you want to shoot a time lapse, you can pretty much shoot a day-long time lapse if you want, and you can just let it ride. Now moving on to ND filters. First, let me say this. If you shoot video outside and you don't have an ND filter already, what are you doing? Let me explain really quickly in case you may not know what an ND filter is. ND filters are like having sunglasses for your lens. So we already know if you go outside to shoot video, you have certain settings that you kind of need to keep locked in. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, it needs to stay 1/50. So we'll start off there, right? So if you're already shooting at 1/50, it's gonna be extremely bright outside. And let's say you drop your ISO down all the way to 100, and it's still gonna have everything completely blown out. So if everything's completely blown out, how are you supposed to shoot any video? What you gonna shoot at f20, f22? You could do that. Or you can get some sunglasses to help so that if you wanna shoot at f2.8, f3.5. If you want to shoot anywhere less than completely closed, then this is what you want to do. And you can find ND filters for as cheap as $20 to as expensive as like $350. And now, unlike with your battery grip, right, where I was saying, hey, you can get it for 40 bucks, don't spend the $350. If you have the money, get the more expensive ND filters. I say that because this is the last thing going in front of your glass, right? So the image that's coming in has to pass through the ND filter. So if you get cheap ND filters, it's just like getting cheap glass. It's gonna degrade the quality of your footage. Some of the not great ones will have vignetting or have discoloration. So you wanna make sure that you're just being aware of what you're putting in front of your glass. All right, now the last thing on the list is a Gorilla Pod. Now, these can be controversial, which is funny to me because it's just a little baby tripod, right? So yeah, just a baby tripod. The reason I'm saying Gorilla Pod is because of how versatile it is. So not only does it help to, as you've seen every vlogger use, where they do the thing, you know, they're holding it like that, whatever. I don't really use it like that because I don't vlog, of course. But you don't have to get a Gorilla Pod. If you're a landscape photographer, you can find some decent lightweight travel tripods that you can get for around $50. However, I just make sure you look into them really, really decently, right? I have had some travel tripods that were trash. So you want to make sure that you at least know what you're getting. Kind of look at some of the reviews. Don't listen to any reviews from people who just bought it and only had it a month. You want to look at reviews for people who've had it for a significant amount of time because you want to be able to use these things for a while. Now I know there's way more things that we could have talked about here that are around 50, 60 bucks, something like that, that you can add to your camera bag. So what I'm asking is, if you guys can, put in the comment section below anything that I may have missed that you may have in your bag that's like, yo, you guys need to check this out. It's only X amount of dollars or whatever. So go ahead, let us know. I will also have a link in the description to everything that we talked about today. And yeah, that's really all I got for you guys today. So as always, I gave you some tools to create. Now be great. Peace.